Good morning. Or whatever it is, wherever you are. So, there's still a couple things I'm not happy about with my alternate controls. Mostly around sort of movement and how many key presses it takes to do that. This is a feature that's definitely going to need to feature toggle, and probably even default off. Especially if I go tweaking default mouse behavior. Which is what I'm thinking about doing for move, so that clicks will just be unqualified moves always, and then possibly making it so it goes back to doing things during screen lock. And you would still have key movements for precision during that. Now, I was thinking of playing the Time Machine today, so that means I want to get a chance to try this right away. So one thing I never documented here, I'm pretty sure, is there. So there's that. It'd be nice to make all these bindable, but that's either a lot of settings. Actually, that reminds me while I'm thinking of it. I did do some patches update. To sort of our extra files there. Okay. So I think if I do default click as move, and I'm probably going to want to do that on screen lock. Now, that could get tricky because one of the patches is that clicks in screen lock ignore people. So those would have to become, or well, ignore people's heads. So those would have to become mutually exclusive options. So right now, yeah, prefer objects over players. Well, that just does the heads. That could. Well, this is dev. In my actual running build, I do have that on. Do I have it off in my regular one then? Because that was a problem at one point. I did have it off there. Because at the time, I was also messing around with some other stuff. Well, that's fine. I can leave that one alone for now. Let's see. Does this need to be a different feature entirely? It could work as its own feature. Maybe. Ooh. I always do that. try a search of all of the many files in the releases. So I want to try this out, even though it's going to make some changes in our other patch. STG series interaction modes, STG new move by default, interact on screen lock. Which I don't think by itself would necessarily be a good feature. Man, what do we call this? Before it was click through heads. Uh, all right. So this is going to be, well, wherever we do prefer force ground click. I don't really think it matters that that was a member itself. Because this is going to get turned on and off in several places, usually in an on-off. Yeah, so we would just extend this if statement then. What are you? Pointer down. What does that mean for you? If we're in screen lock mode, so that is affecting, because force ground click is often used for simulated clicks, so we don't want to record the mouse button is down. That's fine, that doesn't apply here. That is specifically auto run, which once again we're using force ground click for simulated as like simulated click for running purposes. We don't necessarily want to do that. We just want to not do things. And then in that would be, we're treating it as continuous movement mode, but it's just movement. And then this is something else. So let's just initial reset. And I think this is where we started. Mouse held or auto run. Walking on road. Return. Okay, so we need, well, this thing needs its own setting file too. So this would probably be somewhere around, yeah, auto run, previous, mouse held. Well, no. No, we're checking screen lock. Shoot, that's not what he called it, though. Well, I mean, this feature is going to have to be Should move camera. Well, you know what? Prefer. Just still have this, right? Yeah, okay, so this is going to be. We're going to have a setting for this, which was. Click to move. Was it like lock to interact? This might be another one that has to be defaulted off. But for testing purposes, we'll leave it there. So then we were doing force, ground click is the types of places that we need to be looking at. So this is for actually doing it. This is check for pointer hit. So this is going to be, yeah, there's no way I can really modify this. Well, no, I can. I can just do another return. It's an OR. And if it is not, oh no, yeah, the move camera. I mean, it should move camera. Yes. Let's see. So that's just move tracking. That is. Let's check how that works. That is checking for double click activation. So I think that's fine. Or force ground click, we're in continuous movement mode. This is, I think we want to do this. But now I can't do that whole separate thing. So we're actually going to have to modify this statement. Or, let's see, so this is, we are not, should move camera. Now, okay, we did kind of do that in style. All right, so make and copy onelife.exe. I have to forget that part. To build Windows. Build Windows. OneLife 219. And that should be this one. Yeah. And I don't know what this thing is. But it keeps haunting me. And I don't know if it's because it's 0 or 0 or because I died there. Hello! I'm not even going to... I have no idea how to pronounce that, but thank you. I don't even know languages that use the English letters. Or the... Well, is it like the Roman characters, I guess? Alright, so we still got this stuff. That's fine. This move hasn't changed yet. So we've got you. And I actually need some objects. Okay, still got this stuff here. Okay, that rock is still wherever. So now we've got... Now, this probably has heads. So I need to be able to check... Sure. And probably, like, all the clothes. Well, there's 2 pieces of clothes. Oh? Socket read failed. Well, okay, so we're not in... And then probably if I had a backpack, it has completely decayed. Well, I've got backpack keys, so that's not as... Whoa. Whoa. What the... I keep wanting to escape there. So we have to lock to pick up, put it on. Okay. Well, it is prefer objects. So yeah, screen lock will prefer that. So you could maybe get blocked out if there was an object there. But you can, particularly for like a large object, you would get blocked with both of those options on. But you can, in general, do everything. Now, this is probably going to have to be an off by default. Okay, so that works there. In screen lock, it actually doesn't work, but that's probably fine. Ooh. So this needs a settings file. Wait, where'd the... Okay, that came from there, so fine. And now this one, we think we're going to have to actually make a default 0, because otherwise someone could just load it up and be totally unable to use the game. Okay, so yes, I want to run that. I want to make sure that that is, in fact, the default. And we want to double check that the setting file itself works. Wait, did I wander while I was... okay, I guess... oh, yeah, because I was running around. Okay, so that's fine. There's no behavior change there that I can see. So we need build. Actually, I kind of would rather have my editor. Build. All right, I'm in game source. Settings. All right, so this is click to move lock to interact.ini. I want to test that the value of 1 is actually used. Actually, we don't need to do that. Okay. Cool. Click to, all right, so that gives us our file name. So then we want that in here and here so that it's in our source control. And as an example for people, this is game source settings. Game source settings, yeah, that's fine. So we added one thing. I think it's going to want to add, going to want me to add everything. Well, everything is good. So this is kind of because of the other interaction mode, but it's technically independent of it. I'm not sure that you'd really want to play that way without the keyguard commands. But it could be reordered. Well, actually, since I did that first, I kind of want to order it down anyway. SDG help sync. Deeper in the stack. I think it might default sync all the way down. And I'm probably going to have to push the modes back. Oh, no. It pushed it down and left us here. All right, so in the short term, I want to swap those. Which has the problem that I was doing alpha order on these. I guess I really should have just changed the code, not the case. Although really, this is all going to get redone. If we can actually set up key binding, or variable keys. All right, quick check on that. So that is... Did I build? Or did I not check auto running with the other patch? Where does that get set? That's a pointer up. But that behavior shouldn't have changed. Oh, it was. I specifically had a thing for Q. Well, that's interesting. Right. Well, that might follow from redoing that, getting that, because I think to do variable, I'm going to take it out of the case anyway. There we go. Really, I want to get diff. That does the auto page. Oh. That was the net effect. No, not git commit. I kind of wish I had change logs for these, but... All right, so key binding. So I kind of want to do a single file for this, so you can see everything. This is not I mean, he sort of has that with the emotion stuff. But like this, is not a file with 4 coordinates, it is 4 files. Which does have the option, or the advantage, that you can't, as long as the file exists and you can just open it, you don't have to worry about, like, if I do a file with key value pairs, you can mess up the key and or the record separator syntax and everything goes wrong. This makes the file system your UI, which is kind of nice. But we are going to have a bunch of keys. So we could do something like this, where we just sort of have a comment on there. Now this is actually line-based, because it matches one-to-one with the emotion words and IDs. So there's a obvious direct mapping there. We're not actually parsing the rest of the line. To make this key value based, I would sort of do this and then have just some tag that I had to look up. Or I would do it as a straight up array and do an emotion type thing, which makes it just as fragile as this. Well, how are we going to store this internally? Internally, it could be an array with an enum, in which case it would be pretty straightforward to reuse the emotion loading code to break up a file and bring out a key and iterate through the list, shoving it into records. Or if we did one file per setting, it'd probably make more sense to have individual variables for each thing. I think a single file is probably better user experience, because that will be the most typical interface to editing things. So if I did do it as an array, I could just reuse emotion code. So then we would do something like we're going to end up testing it in build first. We just won't load it right away so we can test our defaults. We could just do this. Yeah, we're recording. Build, Windows, One Life, settings. Right now it's called interaction modes. So we would do something like, man, so I could do, I could do these alphabetically, but the point of this is they would want to change the keys, change the keys, and that would put things in different order. You don't want to suggest that it should be alphabetical necessarily. Let's start with use drop take from container. Now if we go down that row, we get run, but that kind of goes with move. So let's do did I do E? And a little more consistent there. So those have some parity. We've got each self. We've got, oh, well, other had an alt key. Probably don't want to do that if we're doing key bindings. And I guess that would probably be the appropriate place to do kill. And then examine. So not the movement yet. Actually, movement's pretty basic. So we've got, right now we're going to do Q step a auto run. This assumes we have the run patch. So eat run, use self, take from container. I mean, this is kind of up with use. I kind of want to keep these as some somewhat relatable sets. Or maybe we do something like that. Wait, where did my feed use and other? Yep. maybe we just do all this stuff, and then we have this, which is not as obviously related to this. So I think that's all of our keys. So this would then have to be our enum order as well. So somewhere up here, we're doing all our setting stuff. Let's see, open save field on typing. Did I miss my other section? Maybe I did. Yeah. Are there enums in here? Message type. Actually, no errors, huh? All right, enum, interaction keys. So we're going to have I guess remove is the similar concept, even though we take things up a little bit. No, it's you baby underneath. This actually makes me wonder if I could reuse some other enum. Well, I'd have to have a bunch of empty slots. Okay. And I think it might be, yeah, it's like srem underneath. I guess that's kind of like a drop. I don't remember if that's the actual implementation of it. And then we're going to need an IK count. This would be a I mean, arguably would be interaction keys. Uh, and it would have an IK count number of records. So default values. We could do this with a literal array, in which case you have to be very careful how you line things up. Or we have to do some code somewhere else in startup. Now, I think, like, should I have out and out default values? Well, at minimum, I want default values. For development, so I don't have to do the parsing yet. So if we go in that order, yeah, we'll have to test, we'll have to see about lower uppercase, which could be an interesting thing, since some keys actually do have use as capitals. And then I guess we're actually getting done with this. And then this is still invalid stuff. I like conversion from car. Oh, you're right, it is car. It's just enumerated in that. All right, so that gives us some initial data. So now in key down, no, actually, we hit it. Yeah, so I'm probably going to have to go after the rest of the switch statement. Oh, no. In some cases I have to go before, in other cases I have to go after. Well, it would be not handled by the case, because this is in very particular conditions. So then all of this stuff would fall out of the handled by case thing. Yeah, so that would be a conflict. Okay. So this is where this bit of code picks up. So if key was handled by case, we may have to do something here. So I used to be having those handled by the case. And then, yeah, the say capture is a thing that probably has to get turned off while doing this. All right, so then that's say capture. So if key was handled by case, we're going to call that done. Well, yeah, only if it actually did something. Else, I could almost turn off this print now. We need to do all of our checking. So I think, yeah, all of these are going to be is safe field focused. Is that also a thing? That's also a thing for the other bit here, isn't it? Is there any local data that I need here? So I could make this a function. All right, so I think safe field focused is pretty much going to be a precondition for all of these. And then key handled by case isn't going to matter. So we might set up an if-else chain here. Yeah, I do need to do a thing similar to key handled by case here. Hmm. Actually, can I just preclude, like, in the main statement, tab is valid during open safe field. But if everything south of here would be ignored if safe field was open. We could do that. And then all of these get simplified. So this is where we need to go through. I guess it's just a 4. So this is an interaction. Command. Okay, count, yeah. I. So if, I still might want to move this. Interaction keys command is equal to this was not an included thing, was it? Then we have to do our whole switch. And maybe that's where you pull out as a function? All right, so we have to turn that into, that could also be a case. Because there's definitely going to be one at this level. So this is going to be awkward because we have to change the case and then all of this gets reindented because we don't need a safe field. And we have a few other things to fill in as well. Uh, so this is going to be you with that as a body. So I guess we're going to redo that stuff. Oh, wait, no, this isn't necessarily use. This is A. This is going to want to be organized. Yeah, too lower was not. Oh, well. It's a function. It probably still... unavailable. Yep. Didn't I use that in emotion? So I guess that had pulled... Oh, it's too... Why do I keep wanting to do that? Why do I keep wanting to do that? It's lower L. So this syntax is all terrible right now, but I want... Oh, it actually was one of the move commands. So for... well, we need to make a couple of adjustments here. I hit caps lock, didn't I? So we want macro insert case escape end of line. Place with that escape. No. It should be fine. Q at Q. Nope, the undo's ended me. QQ insert case escape end of line. Ah. Bump something there. That was I think there should be a single character replace. New line, end of macro. And this is a small enough list, I don't really care to do the number on it. I should have filled in the breaks too. All right, so now we take, this was A, which was our move command, which actually was first. And then, yeah, because it might be easier to indent first. Then we've got our person command, although maybe finding the right, well, from here I can see it. This is our other command. And our drop command. It's backpack drop. And our use command. And our kill command. Oops, forgot to indent. Oh, you know what? One of the advantages we had before is that if statement did give us a block for all of our local variables. Now we can just do a miscellaneous block. Now a lot of these end up reusing, well, many of them are very similar. Might be able to pull out some of the map test stuff. Oh, no, I already did that check for Silhat, but now I have to have this. Well, maybe I could pull these things out. And live object. Now, there could still be some that have special cases. Q is our just regular step move. Oh, wait, that was run. Now, I'm still not sure about key handling by case. We might want, well, let's probably rename it. We might want something like that. Let's play with auto open and say as best we can. All right, then R is the backpack put take. Backpack use. Oh, that indentation was all messed up. And then it's not Jason Rohr style. What are you? Okay. And S was the cycle in container. And V is use self. Cleaned up. W is removed from backpack. And it's, oh, some of the other keys ended up overlapping with things. We have to pick those up elsewhere. Oh, we don't actually need a case IK count. That's just default do nothing. Are you... You are our if statement. All right, so what are we missing? We're missing backpack drop, which was E. So this is going to have a conditional on it. Although we're less likely to hit it. Wait, what are... I didn't put this in... So like all of these are non-conforming. Okay, so actually that was fine. IK backpack drop. You actually do have an if statement. We're counting safe field focused out of this equation. All right, so is that examine? Use a twin code. That's just safe field focused. Well, we'll remove it all here. And we don't need to do that, so the outer bracket can go. Okay, so all of our cases. All right, your coverage, 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 covered. IK run with not within a case statement. Switch statement. So how did I mess this up? Oh, we had leftover closing brackets. Yep. And then, so I kind of want to pull, well, I mean, it's no worse than the main switch statement. Now we're going to want to know, so this is a block. We can do, so we could do this sort of as the default, but it's already a big enough switch statement. Well, it's in a range. We know that. Key handled by case, key handled by keybind. All right, so I might be able to do a little bit of common code here, or at least common declarations, but So there's no need to do a check for cell hit, which I think is kind of an expensive operation, unless we actually hit a keybind. Our live object is a pretty lightweight operation, in my recollection. Live object. Okay, so you had to do your own translation. Why did you not use a cell hit record? Did I forget to convert that? Because it was off elsewhere? Jump to case label. Two, 1101. Nope. Jump to case label. What? You do not have. So is this something that could use the hit record? Check for cell hit. Use a, well, cell hit record, I think had to be declared elsewhere. But we had dest ID, floor ID, dest num contained, cell X, cell Y. Click dest. Dest ID, floor ID. We're checking dest ID. And floor ID, yeah. That is all we really care about. I hope, I think. I just forgot to convert that when I was doing it because it was all out of place. Oop. Alright. Looks like I missed it a live object. 21130. And okay, that was also responsible for the other jump things, apparently. Now, this doesn't actually interact with the say stuff at all. So that's going to be our loop. So we've taken this out now. And Well, here I could return, but there's no guarantee that this is really the final thing if we do further mods. Okay, so we've got run? Nope. Use? Nope. Nope. Okay, so that is completely not working. Now I did leave the printf there. Okay, so it is seeing this, but it's not matching it up with our keybinds. Uh, Make sure we're actually doing what we think here. Okay, well now we're in, yeah, the problem is you go immediately into text mode and it doesn't even see that as a thing. Oh, we're not even, I messed up my loop condition. We're not even trying. Didn't initialize it. That could do it. Intensity? Do you mean the shiver? Okay, so that's that. All right, so did so generous. I want to test everything, but I should probably do that after doing the real keyboard loading. But this is still a checkpoint. We're on the right patch. Oh, well, we settled debugging in here. But oh well. So arguably, if we hit this at all, no, that's all my mod. So actually, we've kind of got the list up here, including the work in progress stuff. So these are some patches I've submitted to Jason, which he hasn't done yet. This prints the name on the screen so I know which one it's launched. I initially got into this because of auto run, because I didn't like click, 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 click. It kind of got at my, I don't know if I want to call it carpal tunnel, but got uncomfortable. Screen push was an early version of that, but I kept it for moving the viewport around. I was also bouncing into trees, so I made it ignore tall objects clickwise. Diegetic temperature is a fancy name for the shiver and sweat. Click through heads has it ignore the top half of people when you are in screen lock mode, so you can do your carry on with your smithing and whatnot. But does get in the way of eating sometimes. Got to make sure you click your bottom half. This puts time plus transitions in. On open safe field on typing, it actually gets in the way since I'm working on keyboard commands, but it was nice when I didn't do that. Curse assist and name assist give me tab completion for names, so you don't have as much trouble with the big complicated ones. This is the bug Jason refused to fix for... I could do a self-check. But right when I was thinking about that, I saw somebody else trying to do a berry bowl behind their head, their own head. So pick your poison. And then emotion keys is actually kind of just gonna wait till the next release. I have, well, for me it's all, but some people say control works. For letters, you have more mnemonic emotions. This is background stuff, so I've got a drag drop, so like you pick up stone, drag to rock, pick up water, put on soil, pick up dirt, put on row. This is an adjustment I'm making because I didn't like keyboard to move, to make it move by default and then interact through default actions when screen lock. And then I'm working on a bunch of keyboard commands to do very, very explicitly say, I want to drop, I want to do something with my backpack, I want to eat. Because I get the left-right confused, and the other problem is that in some cases I'm making choices that are different from the way the left and right buttons are assigned, so I still get things confused sometimes. Well, keyboard move, I was doing it as a button rather than like arrow keys. Zed's mod did that. I don't know if it's been updated, and Tetu mod has WASDA. I've tended away from that just because, I mean, kind of Jason chose not to do that sort of network message per tile type of thing. Like Zed has it, but he also has ways to make larger moves, and then Tetu just does it. So I've tended away from that. So mine was a... So all of mine, having tried to do some modifier things... Well, no, it's not even coordinates. It's just network traffic to the server. If it's doing a command per tile. So the other thing I would have to solve would be where I put my hands. Because right now it's kind of based around this thing. So, I've got all my commands sort of on home, Well, that takes up WASDA, so I'd have to do something else for that. But my mod, having tried Zeds and having a few things I didn't completely like about it, especially when you get into like smithing and really high intensity things. I mean, maybe if I set myself up better, but like going and grabbing a bunch of pottery was kind of awkward. I'm working with still using the pointer, but having like intentional actions that always target the tile. And then you could sort of escape out to the pointer if you have to do like adding and removing clothing, which isn't common enough for me to deal with. All right, so I need to... Well, there's also 2 pieces of clothing with their pockets. Once again, I'm just gonna not deal with that until it annoys me more. Because you can always go back to your regular click. Okay. So I have this working with the default data. So actually, I guess blanking that file would be a way to disable the feature, but well, I should probably have a feature toggle for this one too. Just blanking the keybinds, because if I do it off the keybind file, then, especially with comments in there, just removing the character, leave a space, we don't want to bind to space. Oh, space should actually get taken care of by the base game, so... Oh, and did I fully rewrite? I think I actually fully rewrote examine. So I want to make sure that works. So one of the things I added is that there are certain objects that like have bare object transitions. I don't know if I had any. I may have added one and maybe like they decay. So like a door. Now this is a loose door, so that's fine. So you can't actually examine a door, because anything you do is going to interact with it. So I have an examine key. It lets me see what you can do with it. Like use a flint chip, take it off. And a bunch of keys, which... oh well. But I think that's working fine. Let's see, so initially, I'm kind of thinking I could riff off of some of the loading code. Oops, it's not saved. In Emotion. Well, yeah, and then there's get index for key. So I could do a little file like this. So this would be like kind of init keybinds. Well, a function wouldn't be a terrible thing. So this has get contents. So I actually only want kind of one piece of this. Now I'm probably... I could go ahead and just do it here, really. All right. So the first two sections are like the other stuff for this. Well... Okay, if it's not blank, having a line check would probably be good. Less than okay count, then interaction keys I equals and I kind of want to clean some of this up. Okay. And then where we do setting loading, uh-oh. Remove that by deleting all the stuff above it. Char pointer parts. And probably some of this other stuff too. That is the same. Interaction keys. Oh, oops. And I must have auto-completed that. Okay, now in order to test if the load, well, I should be testing if I actually read stuff, but... So let's... Just see what that does. Actually, no, I did put a setting file there to work out the format. Oh, except this is still getting the motion keys. Well, we're not running it yet. I just want to check. Okay, so that causes everything to just ignore it. There is no value there. Actually, it probably ends up being 0 or uninitialized, which is... Well, I should have default values in here. But for now, I want to check that our load is actually working. Oh, it died. Okay, so move works. Actually, that's run. Yeah. Oh, I have to stop running. Oh, I have not addressed that special case for running. Examine works. Pick up, drop, use. I would need somebody had a backpack around here. But I don't know where I ran that character. Oh, there it is. It's going to small object, put in backpack, take from backpack, put in backpack, take from backpack, and that should still be cycle. That's fine. I guess kill isn't easy to test. Other person isn't easy to test, but that's been pretty solid so far. So this is a feature that we want to be... Oh, that only allows... Oh. Doing it this way only allows letter keys to be bound. Well, technically, it's the byte, so if you did a little fancy editing of the file, you could put something else in there. Oh, I haven't dealt with upper and lowercase yet either. Although really, that was just kind of, well, you might as well. Oh. That could be an interesting option for auto open, say, to only open on shifted letters. That could be an interesting little patch. However, I don't want to require that you blank out the entire, or rather, I want to have a perfectly valid key settings file as an example. So I can't just like blank out the settings to disable the feature. And this one probably is going to have to default off because it conflicts with a pre-existing feature. Although maybe if I had that default to shift only, and then this would be lowercase only. Well, there are some cases... I mean, VOG mode comes to mind, but most people wouldn't even have that on. Okay, so switch in ASCII. So we've got V. I is only in VOG mode. N is only in VOG mode. M is VOG mode. S is saving speech enabled. X is on a certain screen. So we might be okay. E is a special thing. Z is this modifier. Tab, slash, that already does it. Oh. Maybe that'd work. But I'd have to have like a 0, 1, 2 or a separate setting for shift to make it more accessible. Okay, so where we were at is we've got that. I want a separate setting file for just enable, disable this feature. because it, well, no, you might still want this. You might still want to disable this. Hmm. So interaction keys, having this be default values really should be fine. You know what I should have done? Should have, and I don't know an easy way to do this now. And what I could do is fill that out at least. Drop, self-remove. All right, so that's better documented. So we've got that, we've got that, we've got that. Oh, you know what? Actually, because he's actually, yeah, so he actually calls that a static int. And arguably, I could make some other things static. Because it is loaded as a number. I guess first we need to see that it actually does something. So right now the code actually uses it. So that's load. Now we have to indent everything. Unless there's a way to skip around it. Because it's either that, or we sort of do this and then say, well, if not handled by case, then do this. And then if not handled by case and not handled by keybind, then do this. Oh, and I still haven't addressed this special case. But that can be... This actually is not too bad. No. Interaction key... I'm pretty sure it was only... Yeah, because that was our run key. If we do something else, then stop running. No, not this. It is interaction keys. All right, so we've got to consider this entire thing. kind of want to abstract this function, but it's like everything else that's in the key handler is just kind of a thing here. But it is obscuring this wrap-up logic. And that could turn... Yeah, if this was a function, yeah, as soon as we match one key, we could turn around and exit. Yep. Hopefully I'm not missing any, like, not really a lot of context variables here. Oh, so I think everything up to there? So maybe somewhere around here, because it's going to need to rely on these functions. Now this can just be a function. Oh, wait. No, some of these are member functions. Yeah. And it's going to be a bool to say whether it handled it or not. And then this wasn't an if statement. Yeah, you have no termination right now. Now it's going to complain because livinglifepage.h. Let's give you a space. Uh, that does help. Excuse me? Tray interaction key. It's just keys. Excuse me? $19,429. What am I missing? Do I have to edit to make it reevaluate? No. What am I missing? Okay, it actually just did refuse to do it. What? Okay. The highlighter is case insensitive. I guess I should have done a full-out search for it. All right, now we can kind of go to these other... Nope. No errors? I'm surprised. Oh, actually what I do need to do... is we don't really need this. Now instead of that... Looks like I already removed that from one of them. We just... Really, these become... Oh, I know what I was thinking earlier. I could handle this up here. So really, once this matches, we could call it handled. I guess it'd be nice to... Okay, so there's some other breaks you have to consider there. We lost it. So we matched, but wasn't anything. We matched a key. This should never happen. Really? Oops, missed one. So this is remove. If there's, well, this is still a key that we want to consider handled. This is still a key we want to consider handled. And this is something else. So we have key handled. Oh. Okay, so there is that. You actually have a conditions. No, wait. What is the condition? No, actually, if it's one of my keybinds, I don't want it to do an auto open or anything. Now this might be a special case. For is the thing enabled? So this might actually make more sense. Now that would count as an early return. Because I mean, you should take care of it, but maybe something wouldn't like it. Yeah, if it's just a mismatched condition, I don't want to open say. Man, if default, if it was in the array, but it's not a known keybind, like they just added rows or something. Key handled by keybind. Yeah, so now this is... So I could call this inline in the... But this is actually doing a fair amount of work. Is this a case again? Well, I've got a 2180. The syntax error. Ah. There's another one. Oh, this is the one it's complaining about. Okay. Now, this was also that we could do if direction keys enabled. Do we care about this? If we press a key and it wasn't handled by anything else, that should probably still break run. I'm not too terribly concerned about, well, no, because that does mean, because the thing I used to be able to do is type while running. Which is kind of where that was targeted. So this is first make sure that everything still works. Hey, we're still alive. I guess close help. Ooh. Maybe not for much longer. Did I set that to 0? Oh, I did to test it. Okay. Okay, and that was a run. Right, so we're moving back to, this can just be move. Actually, what's, okay, right click just does nothing if it's move only. Maybe you want to adjust that? I don't know. All right, and that needs to have a setting file. Oop. Interaction, keys enabled. Wow. And this is also going to have a default value of 0. All right, so by default, if we attempt to load a file but do not load a file, you know what? Actually, I might actually just want to disable auto open while testing here. All right, so build, Windows, settings, auto open. Just because I have to escape out to continue testing things. All right, now. So actually, Jason never really uses like enabled. So maybe this should really be like use interaction keys. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of these. User. Okay, that should compile. I really don't expect to have any significant differences there. Edit, build, Windows. OneLife 219, settings. Oh, so the advantage of this, how it was, is that we've got this file, and if it starts the same, those files will sort together. So I think that might actually win out for me user interface-wise. So we expect a 0 to continue blocking it. All right, no actual. All right, that was our log file. Okay, nothing going on. Oh, no, I had the file open. And then that was the wrong one anyway. Yep, that was the run key. Still used it from last time. So that should be pretty much everything looking good. This is going to be enough change. I don't think I'm really going to be able to... Oh, and we need our sample settings files. So for me, testing, this is going to be on. But for our sample settings file, no, that's the keys. That is going to be default off. Probably did too much at once. Status. Okay, git add game source. You can do this. It'll ignore the other things. All right, so we now have settings files for interaction modes. And the other thing I kind of wanted to do was play around with the original. Well, we kind of had to touch auto open say anyway. So that could be that patch. Well, somebody could want to do shifted values for auto or keybinds. You know, like one thing does basically shift it does backpack. But for me, being able to disable auto open for all lowercase letters and then do it on shift would be quite nice, I think. So right now I've got a single settings file. I could do a 012, but that's completely obtuse to anybody looking at the file. I could break it into upper and lower settings, which would be unfortunate if anybody had the feature set to 0. Or had their own setting file and that just ignored it. And I still have that settings file there looking like it should be doing something. I could leave the existing feature toggle there. And then whenever we were going to do something with it, I can get picky about the upper and lower, which, well, disabling upper and lower would effectively disable the entire feature. Wait, did I put a 2 lower in there? because of how I was filling it out. I think I did. Yeah, I actually don't want to do that, because somebody might want to do a caps. That compiles fine, right? Yeah, so it's pretty much a setting file upgrade issue in terms of how you present it. So I'd like to do it as upper and lower, two separate settings. I guess I should put it in the patch notes. And then hope things don't conflict too much with my other patches. Go to open. There's going to be a lot of changes. Okay, so we have open, say, field on typing, which shows up exactly once, which is fine. But we want to convert this. So for me, I would set it to lower false, upper true. But since the keyboard commands probably aren't going to be on by default, well, if I leave it as shifted only, I could do that. Although it was really nice just to be able to start typing. Oh, and I would sometimes move while typing. I think I might actually have a better interrupt on is safe field open now. Right, it was a time delay thing. Or a first letter thing. Defaults, defaults, defaults. Well, we can implement this and then worry about what we do the defaults as. Upper. Is alpha. Looks like we have so many conditions here. Yeah, because we've got this is alpha. Um, So this is a case where you do I something. So it's always capturing. We only actually open it on this. So if it's lower, and then this is that condition, but it's this whole thing. Or Ey. Let's sort of get away with that ish. Is per. That probably ends up covering is alpha. Oh. RM living life page dot dep. The name stuff needed a new file. Had to import from the server. Yep. Right when it's time to die. Alright, so right now we are open on everything. And we want to, so this is game source. We actually need to do some testing first. That is the does not exist case. All right, I guess we can kind of test both things here. So if we say that one, so lower does it, shifted does not, and then we flip those around. Okay, so that's fine, and then we do shift. Oh no, that was control. So if you like start out shift like shift I or high, it'll just open. And that's actually where I'd want to leave it on my test client here. But the actual supplied defaults. The keyboard mode is probably a pretty niche feature. Which means we would want to enable all of these by default. And that, I think, is... yeah, how we set things up. So get status, we have to get RM game source settings. Should have done it this way anyway. Get add game source settings. Game source living life. And then we were on, I'll open say, STG refresh. And this is where we're going to run into some conflicts, I bet. So where did it leave us? It's in curse assist. And this was just right, because it had this in its context. Get status, get add. Oh, I guess we should do a compile check. Now this is probably adding, I don't remember if this adds names. Or if that was the next one. No, yeah, actually that was the naming phrases completion. And we were at curse assist, so that makes sense. So we had to add a setting for it. So now we're at interaction modes where I expected some more where I expected some conflicts. Okay, so current is here. So that got replaced. This disappeared. Oh, and that was it. Now we probably have hit names by now. Or maybe it'll figure it out. Because it's a new file. Did I miss that before? Oh, oops. Nope, okay, that was in there. I was thinking of the case. Okay, get status. Well, so this would actually be a useful thing to test. So I think I left mine at ignore lower. And probably these settings are enabled. Got a new person. But if I go type other stuff, then I could still say, yep, I gotta hit the right thing. I keep hitting the control key when I go to do that. Because I do so much control stuff. But that's all working. But if I bump some other key, it's not going to pop up the box on me. So as long as I don't bump shift. So I don't know that I want to export these yet. But I do kind of want to do some documentation stuff while I'm thinking of it. Because I think it's getting close. Okay, so documentation for open say field. To disable lowercase letters. Oh, and I added another one. Click to move lock to interact. Makes clicks by default move only. Lock the screen to interact with to perform all other functions. Now, arguably, this should mean that you shouldn't necessarily move. Now, this one is... I haven't done any of these kind of setting files in a bit. Okay, and then... Now, right now it's called interaction mode. It should probably be interaction keys. STG help. There's probably a rename. Kind of want to get all the settings together. Adds key actions that do very specific things versus the default. Do very specific things at the mouse pointer cell versus the default click which does very context sensitive. Things based on precise hit detection. Interaction keys. Caps lock. Default bindings. Change interaction keys. That should be really nice here, but it's a text file. Maybe I should do this style thing. Let's see. Well, I call it step, but it's really just move. You may want to disable open safe field on typing lower when using this. All right, so, and then edit, matches master, this is presumably 19. Field on typing, split into upper and lower case settings files. uh, disabled by default. Um, and new disabled by default. Keyboard commands that do specific things at Actually, most of the errors well, a lot of the errors I'm trying to get around with this are actually move versus use errors. So this would take some getting used to, but it might have done a lot. All right, so I just wanted to record that. I don't even know if I'm going to commit it right now. I want to test this sometime, and today I was thinking of trying out the Time Machine version. So I don't know if I'll actually get to this, and I'm not even going to think about what it would take to get some of these patches onto the old client. I mean, some of them would work better than others, but I mean, lots of things have rearranged over time, so getting the entire stack would be a real bear. All right, so actually I should see, because I know Jason had, well, there's no commits yet. So I'm going to check up on competition. There's no commits yet. I'm going to check up on how the water update is coming. And I may have to be building a client when that comes out. I should set up to do .18. Oh, that's the other thing I need to do. Actually, this is almost why I wanted to do this right now. Patches, master, package files is now lower and upper, and now this is where I kind of want to make sure I don't mess this up. Click to move. Actually, I could probably complete these symbols. Interaction keys enabled, and interaction keys. Okay, and then I'm going to go check on how things are progressing, have lunch, and then come back to try out Time Machine. Let's see, let's get rid of that, and thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody who hosted me. What do we got? Okay, let's see. Nobody I know playing the game. This is about when I tend to stream, so pretty typical of late. I see. What do we got? I see overlay development. Is this like a interactive Twitch overlay? Or just an overlay? Definitely doing code. So if you're looking for some place cool to hang out, do I have any notes? Nope. Just Rushmead, somebody I've looked at in the past, seemed to be doing some code and talking through it. So if you're looking for someplace cool to hang out, that's someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye and until next time.